Abobaku, born to die with the king. Episode 7, The Crown and the Chains. The drums of Oyo had not fully cooled from the last storm that shook the palace. The ground still remembered the blood of betrayal. 3 elders, stripped of honor, had fallen. 1 drank death from the poison god. 2 were fed to the sharp, cold belly of the sword. Now only 2 members of the royal council remained. The Alefin's father, aged like the root of the great Iroko. And the Abobaku's father, a man whose eyes had seen many rainy seasons. The palace corridors felt longer, the air heavier. As if the very walls waited to hear the next decree. Then, one morning, the talking drum called the whole kingdom to the palace square. Its deep voice roared across the red-earth streets, Kobo. Gather. Hear the words of the Alefin. Men, women, and children poured into the courtyard. Their shadows stretching long under the mid-morning sun. The king rose from his leopard skin throne. His crown heavy with beads that caught the light. Lifting the staff of office high, he spoke with the slow authority of a man who knew the gods were listening. From this day, let it be known across Oyo. The Abobaku shall no longer walk behind the throne, but beside it. He shall hold the same rights and power as my voice. Save only for the crown itself. A gasp rippled through the crowd. Some whispered blessings, others whispered doubts. But all clapped and cheered as the king stretched his arm toward the Abobaku, pulling him forward for all to see. It seemed as though Harmony had finally wrapped her arms around Oyo. The elders say, if a man builds you a stool, he has not yet made you a king. That day, they thought the stool was enough. But within a moon's turn, the Abobaku's shadow grew darker. He no longer walked with the patience of the servant who once bore the king's robes. He strutted through the market square, shouting orders. Snatching baskets of yam, gourds of palm wine. And even goats tied to women's waists. Worse still, his nights were full of shame. Creeping into compounds, dragging women against their will. Fathers who tried to resist found themselves beaten. Their doorposts broken, their pride scattered in the dust. The Alefin summoned him privately one evening in the palace gardens. The moon was bright enough to show the lines of disappointment on the king's face. Alefin, my shadow, is this the path you have chosen? Power is a garment, if you tear it yourself, you will be naked before the world. Abobaku, laughing harshly, Baba, you gave me the garment. Now I will wear it as I please. Who among them can speak against me? The king was silent for a long time. When the elders heard of the Abobaku's growing arrogance, they gathered in the council hut. The king's father sitting in the place of wisdom. They debated punishment. But the truth lay heavy in the room. The king's own decree had made the Abobaku untouchable. Oyo's laws, bound by royal word, could not cut him down. And so the people adjusted, as people do when they cannot fight the storm. They learned to cross to the other side of the road when they saw him coming. To hide their daughters when his voice rose in the night. Years passed. The Alefin grew old, his hair white as the egret's wing. Yet his strength still filled the palace. His wives bore him many children. But among them was the curious boy who would one day wear the crown. One afternoon, the boy stood beside his father, watching the Abobaku stroll into the palace unannounced. Prince, Baba, who is this man that dresses like royalty? Walks where you walk. And yet is not king. Alefin, smiling faintly, he is my Abobaku, the one whose life is tied to mine. When I leave this world, his breath must follow. And when you sit where I sit, another will be chosen, by his own willing tongue, to walk beside you. Whether he is gentle as the moon or fierce as the harmattan, you will treat him as tradition commands. The elders say, a river may be calm on the surface, but its depth holds the crocodile. Many more rainy seasons came and went. Then, on a night without omen, the Alefin lay upon his leopard skins. Closed his eyes, and never opened them again. No groan, no shiver, no last words. Just the stillness of a spirit walking into the land of the ancestors. The Abobaku was the first to see him. The palace was quiet, no one else yet knew. He looked at the king's lifeless body for a long moment. Then turned away, his mind already plotting. Before the cock crowed, he had gathered his finest robes. The cowries he had stolen over the years. And even silver ornaments from the palace store. He left Oyo like a shadow running from the sun. Heading for the vastness of Iko. Believing no mortal or spirit could find him there. It was only after the king's wives and children raised the alarm that the elders convened. They sent for the Abobaku, reminding him of the oath taken under the eyes of man and gods. But he was gone. At first, the council hoped it was a misunderstanding. After 3 days, they knew the Abobaku had fled his destiny. And so, they turned to the way of the ancients. On the 3rd day before the king's burial, the Babalawo came to the sacred burial grounds, followed by the whole village in solemn silence. The ground was swept clean. White chalk marked circles of power. A slow, deep drumbeat echoed like a heartbeat. The Babalawo raised his staff and began the chants, calling the Abobaku spirit by name, binding it with the breath of the ancestors. The elders say, he who eats with the king must also wash his hands in the same bowl. Far away in Iko, the Abobaku began to lose himself. He walked the streets but saw the palace gates. He called out for his father though he was long dead. He could no longer tell Oyo from Iko, nor the living from the spirits that pressed close to him. His mouth hung open in confusion. His eyes wide with the madness that comes when destiny calls and a man runs. The people say, when the bush fowl flees the drum, it will still meet the hunter's snare. To be continued.